The Massa tour, NBA YoungBoy's tour that finished about 2 months ago, grossed maybe 75 million, 42 cities. Sold 500,000 tickets. Possibly the most successful pure rap tour, or well, for one artist, I think it's definitely, because I don't think even Drake has done one bigger than that. But I was thinking, and I don't know, conspiracy theory, but now I realize stuff's not like the signals they send to us with the words they use. So his tour was called the MASA tour, which I was like, what the hell? That's a weird name. It made me think of, like an old, like Gone with the Wind, a slave calling somebody Massa. And then I looked, and it says, Make America Slime Again, MAGA. And then I said, well, why the hell is NBA YoungBoy making this thing after Donald Trump? But I didn't know Donald Trump pardoned NBA YoungBoy in May. So NBA YoungBoy, if you remember, years ago, he shot that music video in Baton Rouge where they got caught with the guns. So he had been fighting that case for a long time, and then he got caught in L.A. I don't know if he didn't have another gun. They just were looking for him because there was a fugitive from Louisiana. I thought when that happened that he got caught, he had more guns in L.A., but he was just a fugitive from the case in Louisiana. And then in Utah, he had the prescription drug fraud identity theft ring where they were, him and some of the other guys, while he was on house arrest at Gravedigger Mountain in Utah, they were getting a prescription pill. So, I mean, that's obviously you just have a drug problem, so that's whatever. And he had another gun there. And remember, Cantrell, I guess he's still on probation all this time for the 2017 attempted murder where he tried to shoot the two guys that he thought had something to do with killing his cousin Buzilla, and he didn't hit them. But shooting at people is pretty serious, obviously. It's interesting what punishments different people get for different crimes. Now, when he did that, he was 17. I guess the judge was giving him a break. Those southern states, I thought, were very rough on sentencing, but like even the guy, the one shooter in the Dolph case, that guy, Jeremy Straight Drop, he had shot up a bowling alley and like shot some people, and he only got 2 years or something. So the criminal justice system is very uneven. Like one person get a long sentence for the same thing, someone else doesn't. But anyway, so YoungBoy was able to roll all those things up. The feds picked up the Louisiana gun case, so he got 2 years, and they put him into prison, but I think he pretty much immediately got switched to home confinement. I don't think he really was in prison long. Or was he? He was in prison for like 6 months. I'm sure you'll put it in the comments. How long did NBA YoungBoy actually sit in prison? So him getting pardoned by Trump's primary thing just let him probably, well, now he didn't have to get drug tested, which I'm sure he liked. And it let him, probably made it easier to do the tour. Not that he couldn't have done it because he would have been on some further federal probation. It let him go out and make all that money. And remember, like, when you become a big artist like that, like they estimated YoungBoy in 2023 made between $50 and $100 million. But that's not just in his pocket. Remember, he has that whole staff. When you do a concert, you generate a lot of money for a lot of people. So who knows what white business people signed letters for him because he's made the money at concerts. I don't know. But with Trump, everything, he'll do stuff for you, but he wants to get something. And I wouldn't be surprised if, like, he wanted to work in behind the scenes, they made him work in some type of promo, Make America Great Again, Make America Slime Again. And then Trump is definitely, whether he's personally racist and white supremacist or not, probably not, but he uses the fact that so a nice chunk of his followers seem to be are racist and are into the white supremacy thing, at least, or they at least play around with it as a troll or whatever, but it's still partially real or very real. And then, of course, he's been appointing, I think of all the people he's appointed, like a handful are black. To his like way fewer blacks in the Trump administration high up than in any previous administration, including Republicans. But he's been pardoning. He commuted Larry Hoover's federal sentence, which really meant nothing because Illinois still has him under the 200 years. So if Illinois doesn't want him out, he won't get out, which it doesn't look like he will. He let Harry O out early so Harry O could come out and, you know, Snoop bought Death Row and gave it to Harry O, and Harry O's doing business stuff. Trump's very pro-business. I mean, black gangsters, I mean, they were in business. NBA YoungBoy is in business. He generates a lot of money. But to go back to my initial thing of the conspiracy theory or whatever, or Trump wants to get something out of it, just that MASA word. Does anybody else fit? Does that, maybe I'm old, I'm used to seeing that in, you know, like those old movies that were still being shown when I was growing up, Gone with the Wind and all that. MASA, MASA. That's what that word associates with me as far as in the pop culture. It just seemed like a weird thing. Like he was he like paying homage to Trump, not just with the make America slime, make America great again, the like, oh, you let me out, you let me off the plantation, so I'm going to call you MASA in public. I don't know, am I crazy? But Trump has been running really a pardon machine. He's pardoning, he's a year in office, and he's pardoning all type of high profile. He pardoned Ross Ulbricht, the Silk Road guy, which surprised me, but Trump has those, Trump has pieced together an interesting coalition of supporters. I mean, giving people freedoms to do stuff of make money, that makes people an ally of you. So Ulbricht, he was getting people from that online freedom, cryptocurrency, you should be able to do whatever, buy drugs and all that stuff online. That's a world of people, and that's who wanted Ross Ulbricht out. If you don't know who he is, he set up Silk Road, which was the first big online D-rug emporium where you could, like an eBay, a guy could say, oh, I'm in Peru and I got pure yayo and it's $40 a gram delivered anywhere in the world, and he would have reviews and people say, I received it and this is the best stuff I ever had. And Ulbricht, though, when the FBI started investigating him, they got him for, the FBI agents posed as a hitman online, and Ulbricht paid for several what he thought were completed hits. The feds went so far as to stage, like they had a guy lay on the ground and put makeup on him like he had been shot and was killed and sent it to Ulbricht, and he was like, good job. But the case against him was kind of, there was a thing that those FBI agents that worked the case stole a bunch of Bitcoin too. So there was some irregularities in the case. He let out the Binance guy. Binance is a crypto marketplace that was tied in with FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, the Chinese guy. He got let out. Steve Bannon, who did a little time after when Trump was out of office in the feds, he met some mobsters, like a big mobster, infamous killer who'd been in for a long time and got cool with him. Trump immediately let him out. Trump has let a lot of people out. It almost seems like I don't think Trump is, I mean, he has enough money, like, what are you going to give him, $3 million? But he's pardoned all these 3 high-profile African-American rappers, YoungBoy, Kodak Black, and who's the other one who got caught with a gun? Kodak Black and pardoned another big rapper. Who was it? Well, Trump, he knows people. Like, I guess he figures, or he thinks that pardoning enough you already, like, the young black voters are maybe not are that amped up about voting most of the time for a variety of reasons. Mainly, I mean, America's not really set up to benefit them necessarily, but so by pardoning rappers and just even having NBA YoungBoy just to have those photos with him and all that, you might take people that already barely want to vote and be like, oh, well, Trump let out our guy. I'm not going to vote against him. Maybe they won't vote for Trump. So just getting the black vote down, they don't even have to get it to vote for Trump or Republicans. If they can just get the black vote down, most black voters vote Democrat. That's a strategic thing. And letting out the gangsters, are they just personal favors? Or, you know, he has that whole narrative. I think it's tied in with that narrative of he was the victim of weaponized prosecution, so you can go to him. See, people are hiring these consultants. They can get to Trump to press the case, because usually presidents sign stuff, you know, at the end of their term that the criminal justice system was weaponized against them. And I think Trump may be doing this too. He's going to get the benefit now of different influential people, the tech people he wanted to pardon because they have influence, social media, etc. Black celebrities to get the black vote down. And also just pardoning a lot of people in general. If he, I don't know if he's even going to submit to leaving office, but if he does and they try to give him more charges, or maybe he's thinking there'll be so many people pardoned by him, like that all these people will make a push from different communities to pardon Trump. And there's a thought that the president should be pardoned just to keep there from being any issues. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think in the process of NBA YoungBoy? Because he wasn't in prison. He was already out on home arrest. All he really got out of the pardon was he could stop drug testing. Like, and just be off federal probation, which is a hassle, but it ain't that big of a deal. And it was going to be over with in another couple years. But, I mean, you never want to be on it. But what do you think? What do you think the quid pro quo was? Because Trump, that's favor for favor. Because Trump, I mean, he's a wheeler dealer. Anything he does is for a benefit he's getting or thinks he's going to get. And do you think to make America slime again was a specific deal with him? Like a marketing thing? Like he knew he was going to call it that? I'm sure YoungBoy's made me, I don't follow his social media. I'm sure he's made positive social media about Trump. Anyone who's a YoungBoy fan, tell me, because, I mean, the guy pardoned him. Why wouldn't he? What do you think? What do you think the quid pro quo was? And does that Massa, I mean, I get it, it's make America slime again, but that word just, and most of you are more in my age bracket. Most of my viewers are between 35 and 55, so most of you would have been exposed to the same movies and shows as me. I mean, does that word, when you hear that word Massa, does it have a back of your mind, like, is that like from a slave movie or not? Because the young kids who are going to his, or the young adults who are going to his concerts, they haven't been trained in to recognize a lot of the words and stuff we were back then. I mean, I went to Detroit public schools in the 80s. Detroit and Oakland were the only two school systems that implemented an Afrocentric curriculum. Now, Detroit public schools had all type of problems, and, you know, I don't know, is the Afrocentric curriculum good or bad? I won't get into that, but I definitely notice younger black people, even from Detroit, they don't know, they're not getting even basic, well, they're not getting a basic education, but it seems like they don't know who, like, Harriet Tubman and different people are. I mean, at least we knew some. Rosa Parks came to my class, and we, like, hugged her when I was in the 3rd grade, because she lived in Detroit, if you didn't know. I wasn't. He was at the jail when I was there, the crackhead that kicked her door in and robbed her. And they roughed him up, but they never let him out. He's been, last I checked, he'd been in prison from like 95 to like a couple of years ago just for home invasion. They never let him out. Can't kick Rosa Parks' door in. But, so interesting. So what do you guys think about NBA YoungBoy and Donald Trump and Donald Trump's pardons in general? Is it good? I mean, NBA Trap Laura Ross, we know, just did the 19 bodies, NBA YoungBoy, and I watched it so you don't have to. It's pretty long. I get it with Trap Laura Ross. He does a lot of work, but it's kind of showing just news clips. It's all of some murdered 19-year-old black kids, and that's the whole thing. And then he's getting all his information from Reddit, like kind of inappropriate. It's not journalism, because journalism implies you're doing like some real research that if some other educated person was to like, oh, I'm going to check your work, would be like, oh, okay, this makes sense and you got this. But he has a hodgepodge of, to me, the murder of Boulevard Quick and G Money probably was, that Dump guy probably paid for the G Money murder. So that's not YoungBoy, that's Dump. Could have YoungBoy paid to get Boulevard Quick hit after Dump got hit? Could have, but remember, so that's Trap Laura Ross's thing of like YoungBoy is paid for 19 bodies. A lot of those cases, I mean, it seems like he's pinning any gang murder in Baton Rouge on YoungBoy, paying for the hit. It's like what the federal government does in cases where they add more structure than is really there. Like, just because I interact with you and you a wild guy and there's some ongoing beef and you kill somebody who I theoretically have beef with doesn't mean I had you do it or I paid you to do it or even know about it. Like, these are young gang members in Baton Rouge killing each other. Why does it have to all be coming from YoungBoy? Some of the murders, I mean, he some evidence, and he's mainly using YoungBoy's lyrics, but that's why these rappers got to be careful with the lyrics. We learned from the Big U case and the Dirt cases, these prosecutors do look at social media and use it, but the scary thing is they don't always understand. They're making a quick scan of it. They don't understand, well, this might be trolling. Like, famously in the Dirt case, the first indictment opens with them saying that he made a song with the lyric, the shooter's on goal. Now you're on the news yelling, no, no. And it had Quando Rondo doing that after the shooting of Lil Pab. But that was a user-generated. Someone on YouTube made that 7 months when Lil Pab got shot and added it to the song. The song was made 7 months before the shooting of Lil Pab, so couldn't have been, it couldn't have been about that. And in the Big U case, a lot of loose cannons lie. It's like, they're using the social media, but you have to know how to look at social media. A lot of social media is not even meant to be true. A lot of YoungBoy songs, you mean to tell me you're going to take everything in there verbatim as a homicide? Because if you did, I mean, I don't know what Trump's relationship with the feds are. If the feds, for those of you who think the YoungBoy is about to get indicted, or there's that narrative, and if he oversaw 19 murders, he should, but wouldn't the FBI have told Trump, like, we want this guy in custody, or we want him at least on probation? It's going to make it easier to investigate him, or not? I don't know. Trump is just doing what he wants to do. That's what it seems like. Anyways, but if they would have told him, if there was a federal investigation going on to build an actual case, he wouldn't have pardoned him. So I don't think. Doesn't mean it couldn't arise in the future, but Trap Laura Ross printed pretty weak. Like, it makes sense that he would have had G Money Boulevard Quick kill, but you still got to have some type of evidence other than lyrics. Trapmore Ross is using lyrics. Why? I mean, I know rappers that have taken credit for bodies they didn't do, just as part of their free marketing hype. Like that's the. I also know just street guys that cultivated an air like people think they've done more than they have. Not to say they. For people to be afraid of you, probably are at least a little dangerous. But then if a few things happen and people think, "Oh, Al Prophet did that," and I act like, "Oh yeah, I sort of did." Now I'm cultivating this air of fear, and that's useful for some people. YoungBoy has that demonic, that air of demonism and murder business. If he really was talking about things he did pay for, it's going to come back to haunt him. Because he says a lot of specific stuff, but he may just be, he knows, obviously he's smart and a great rapper. I don't love YoungBoy. He's too weird and disturbed. I think that's why the young generation love him, because they're all weird and disturbed. But the guy has 41 albums, billions of streams, tens of billions probably. All without his biggest song only went to number 3. He's never had a number 1. He really doesn't have any hit songs like that. He just has so much. And people know his songs. You got all them people who are singing his lyrics. And that concert tour was hugely successful. So he's a big deal. So what do you think of the likelihood of there being, for those of you who just watched the Trapmore Ross or are going to watch it, he breaks down 19 murders that he says YoungBoy paid for in some way or was associated with. For those of you that's seen it, do you think it was a compelling case? I don't really think so. I think it was circumstantial. If you take away YoungBoy's lyrics, it's not. But lyrics can be used in court, as we know. So do you think, there's the question, do you guys think there'll ever be any charges against YoungBoy for any murders? And what do you think the behind-the-scenes deal between YoungBoy and Trump was for him to get out? And am I just imagining things with it being called the Massa tour? That's your homework. Al Prophet, American Dope, leave it in the comments.